Hello everybody. I have a relationship with the country of Argentina, but when I first told people in England that I was going there, they reacted as if the whole of South America were the Chihuahua region of northern Mexico, Cartel territory. That stereotype reveals something. In the global imagination, the Mexican cartels are no longer seen merely as gangs of criminals, but in fact they form a kind of shadow state, occupying entire landscapes, not only in the public mind but in reality. And today I'm going to talk about how these cartels embody anarcho-capitalism in practice, how they operate as pseudo-states, how Prohibition handed them this empire, and why their methods resemble the Mongols or even the pirate republics more than modern governments. And finally, whether they could one day take control of Mexico itself. Watch this video to find out. Anarcho-capitalism is a term coined by economist Murray Rothbard in the mid-20th century, which envisions a world with no centralized government. In a book, For a New Liberty from 1973, Rothbard argues that the markets alone could provide every service, including law and security, with the invisible hand ensuring efficiency and justice. This stands in sharp contrast to traditional anarchism, where, for example, Peter Kropotkin emphasized mutual aid and cooperation and egalitarianism. It also diverges from anarcho-socialism, which rejects private property altogether in favor of collective ownership. On paper, anarcho-capitalism promises freedom from coercion. In practice, it risks becoming a system where might makes right and money makes law. Advocates imagine harmony through voluntary exchange, but critics warn that without regulation, hierarchies form around whoever controls violence. The Mexican cartels demonstrate which side of that debate looks closer to reality. The cartels are not simply criminal gangs, they function as parallel governments. In Chihuahua and elsewhere, groups like La Línea and the Sinaloa factions tax businesses through protection payments, regulate markets, and run private armies. They arbitrate disputes when official institutions fail, and in some cases even provide rudimentary welfare in the form of food handouts or church donations. Their influence corrodes politics. In the lead-up to Mexico's 2024 elections, more than 30 candidates were assassinated. Political murders are not anomalies but tools. In 2019, during the Culiacan standoff, cartel forces outgunned police and military to free Ovidio Guzman, son of El Chapo, forcing the state into retreat. Sociologist Max Weber defined the state as the monopoly of legitimate violence, but by that measure, Mexico is not a state but a duopoly. In swathes of its territory, cartel sovereignty rivals or surpasses the government. Foundation of cartel power is prohibition. By outlawing narcotics while demand remained insatiable, Western governments created one of the largest black markets in the world. The cartels professionalized this market. They employ chemists, engineers, logisticians. They operate across continents with supply chains as sophisticated as Amazon or FedEx. The US Drug Enforcement Administration estimates cartel profits in the American market alone at between $19 and $29 billion per year. When enforcement tightens, they diversify. Oil theft from Pemex pipelines, migrant smuggling, cybercrime, and extortion. Pressure does not shrink them, it causes them to evolve. This is capitalism in its raw form. Profit privatized, costs externalized. Since Mexico declared its war on drugs in 2006, more than 400,000 people have been killed. The market works, but only for the cartels. To understand the cartels, history offers clues. The Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan was built on speed, terror, and tribute. Whole cities submitted after hearing of brutal massacres elsewhere. Violence was governance. The Mongols would construct pyramids of skulls, piles of skulls. They would make a whole town lie under wooden planks and jump on top of it. This is the kind of brutal cruelty that we also see perpetrated by the cartels. They operate by the same logic. One public execution can secure obedience for years. Demand for protection payments are modern-day tribute, and their mastery of logistics, tunnels, drones, encrypted communications, echoes the Mongols' mastery of cavalry and mobility. Yet, there is a difference. The Mongols transformed into dynasties, the Yuan in China, the Ilkhanate in Persia. Cartels thrive precisely in statelessness. They are nomads of capital, flourishing in chaos. Another parallel lies in the pirate republics of the 18th and 17th centuries. Places like Nassau. Outlaws created anarchic markets outside of imperial law, exporting violence across trade routes. The cartels mirror this: temporary republics of extraction, anti-fragile, adaptable, and disruptive. The future of the cartels is not only tied to drugs. Even if narcotics were legalized tomorrow, the supply and the supply chain would not vanish. They have already expanded into human trafficking, oil theft, tobacco smuggling, cybercrime, which by the way is now, I believe, the third biggest economy in the world. And they also engage in extortion. Each crackdown pushes them into new territories of profit. But the real question is political, I think. Could the cartels one day take over Mexico itself? Well, in many ways, they already have. They control territories where the state dare not enter. They assassinate political candidates and install their own. They infiltrate policy, judiciary, and military. They have proven, as in Culiacan, that they can dictate terms to the government. If sovereignty means ultimate authority, then sovereignty in Mexico is already divided. History shows that bandits can become rulers. Hardened by the steppe, the Mongols swarmed across Eurasia and destroyed many civilizations. Even Rome began as a bandit camp, more or less. The Mongols as raiders. Legitimacy follows victory, not the other way around. The cartels are not just criminals, they are proto-states. And in a prolonged struggle between ballots and bullets, ballots may not win. If the cartels declared open war on Mexico tomorrow, it would not be absurd to ask who would win. And the fact that we can even pose the question shows how fragile the Mexican state has become. The cartel has higher technology and indeed a willingness to use it that I feel the Mexican state somewhat lacks. So like the Mongols before them, the cartels could evolve from raiders into rulers. The throne of Mexico is not yet theirs, but it is not beyond imagination. The cartels are capitalism's dark twin, and their shadow stretches across borders. They are not only challengers to the state, they are contenders for it. We will see what happens in future history.